Hey, it's Liz from No Trace. I have another project for you to help you tackle your selvage edges of fabric and long thin scraps. It is a super cute leaf-shaped zipper pouch. This actually sews up super fast. It's a really fun size for coins or chapstick or your small special things. So let's jump in. All right, let me show you what you need to make a little leaf-shaped zipper pouch. So we are going to be working with a 5 by 5 inch square of cotton batting. This is organic cotton batting. I also have 2 pieces of fabric for the inside of the bag that are 5 by 5, and then 1 piece of fabric for the outside of the bag that's also 5 by 5. I'm also using a 5-inch zipper, and I'm using a ton of selvage edges of fabric for the top outside of the bag, but you could just use a scrap of fabric, the same fabric instead. But this is one of those projects that I'm using to get through my pile of selvage edges, so we are going to use these. You're also going to want a scrap of paper. So this was a 5-inch square of paper that I cut into a triangle, and then I just rounded the edge. So this is going to be the pattern piece that I use in one of the later steps. In the first step, we are going to be cutting one of the pieces of liner fabric and the cotton batting in half along the diagonal here. So I'm just going to stack these 2 pieces on top of each other, and I'm going to use my cutting mat and ruler, and I'm just going to cut straight along the diagonal so that I have 2 triangles to work with. You could do this with scissors or with a rotary cutter. Okay, so now we have 2 triangles for one of the liner pieces, and we have 2 triangles for the batting. Next, I'm going to start attaching selvage edges onto the batting. So I'm just going to start with one of these triangles, and I'll set this one aside for now. I'm just going to sew right along this bottom straight edge of the triangle, a straight line to attach this selvage edge right onto the fabric. Okay, at the machine I have my stitch length at the longest setting, which for my Juki is 5 millimeters. And I'm just gonna sew straight down the selvage edge. My first piece is attached. I'm just gonna trim that, save that for later. Now I'm gonna get another selvage edge, and I'm gonna put it right side together onto my first one and join them with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once again, I'm just sewing straight down. And once it's attached, I'm going to open it and just press with my fingers so that this second piece sits nice and flat. And then I'm going to sew over it again with another row of stitches. Okay, now that the first 2 pieces are attached, I'm just going to go through those same steps until this whole triangle is covered. Okay, I finished covering the first triangle, so I'm just going to take a minute and tidy it up with my ruler and rotary cutter. And of course, I will save all of these little scraps and use them again. I put the little ones in my tiny bit spin, and then the larger ones are going to go back into my selvage edge pile. Let me just tidy this side. And then we can set this piece aside for now, and I'm going to take my other triangle. I'm going to go through the same steps with this triangle, but now I'm going to start joining my pieces on this edge so that when I bring the 2 pieces together, I'll have strips of fabric going up into opposite directions. So I'm going to start sewing at this edge and work my way all the way up, and I'll be right back. Okay, both of my triangles are covered, so let me show you how to start attaching things to the zipper. Okay, I'm going to start with one of my quilted panels and then one of these triangles, and we are going to attach the long edge of the triangle to one side of the zipper. So I'm just placing it right side of panel onto right side of zipper. And then I have a couple clips somewhere. Here they are. I am going to clip these together. And I have my zipper centered, more or less centered on this fabric here. Okay, then I'm gonna flip it over. I'm gonna put the right side of this triangle facing the right side of my quilted triangle, and I'm gonna add this into the clips and then take this to the machine. I'm putting my zipper foot on the machine, so I'm just going to click this into place, and I'm going to put my stitch length back down to 3.2. That's kind of where I sew usually. And I am just going to go straight down with about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And now that I'm near the zipper pull, I am lifting the presser foot and pushing the zipper pull out of the way so that I can keep sewing a nice straight line. Okay, the first side of the zipper is attached. And now I'm gonna do the same steps on the other side of the zipper. So I'm gonna clip the other quilted panel onto the other side of the zipper tape, just like so. So it's right sides together with the quilted panels. Then I'm gonna get my other liner fabric and I'm gonna add it into the clips here. And by the way, all of my measurements for the different materials are in the description box below this video. So if you just click down in underneath this video, you can see the measurements. Okay, so now I'm gonna go through the same steps and sew along this edge. Okay, now both sides are attached to the zipper. So I'm gonna take a moment and press this really well. And then I'm going to top stitch the quilted panel in place. Okay, I top stitched. I did want to point out that I bumped the stitch length back up to 5 millimeters to do this top stitching so that it matches the stitches that I made over there. Okay, I have my zipper opened a little bit, and what I'm going to do next is place the fabric that's going to be my outer bottom side. I'm going to place it right side on top of my quilted panel. Then I'm gonna get my liner fabric. I'm gonna place it wrong side to wrong side on top of the outer fabric, okay? So I have 3 layers here, and it feels kind of funny, but trust me, it's gonna work. I'm gonna flip this whole thing over, and I'm going to take a moment and pin the open zippers onto the other layers of fabric. I'm gonna make sure everything, I'm gonna make sure things are lined up nicely. And I especially want my zipper tape to be at the middle, so really close to this pointed edge there. So just get a couple pins. Then I'm gonna put more pins around just so that all of these layers are gonna stick together for me. Okay, the layers are pinned. So now I'm gonna take that pattern piece that I made earlier. I'm gonna lay it on top. It doesn't really matter which side you lay it on. Let's do it on this side, might be a little easier. I'm gonna lay it on top, and I'm centering it point to point here, and then I have a pen. Here we go. And the only thing I'm gonna trace here is this curved edge, and I'm gonna trace it with a pen. It's gonna be my seam guide. My pen, it's not working. Okay, the pen's working again. So Sorry about that. Very unprofessional. All right, I'm gonna trace this curved edge here with the pen. Then I'm going to flip it around. I'm gonna again line up point to point here. And I'm gonna again just trace this curved edge. Okay, so I have 2 curved edges traced. Now I'm gonna take this to the machine and I'm going to sew about 1/4 inch to the inside of this curved edge and all the way around. So let me show you. Okay, my standard presser foot is back in place and my stitch length is back at my standard around 3 millimeters. So now I'm just using my pen mark to line up with the presser foot, and I'm just gonna go all the way around. I'm gonna take my time because there's a bit of turning to do here. And now I want to use so once I leave that pen mark, I'm using the edge of my fabric to guide my seam. Again, around 1/4 inch or 3/8 of an inch seam allowance there. And then when I get to the zipper, I'm going to turn and just kind of ignore that point and just kind of go make a little bit of a straight across here. Like that. And I am going to reverse, just reinforce this spot a little bit. And then just keep going all the way around. Okay, I'm getting towards the other side of the zipper. And again, I'm just going to make more or less a straight across here rather than trying to go to that point. And I am going to reinforce here because this is the end of the zipper. A lot of action is going to happen there. Okay, get that pin out and then just go all the way around to join up with the start of my seam. And I'll go over these stitches a couple times and then reverse. Okay, so my work looks like that. This little zipper pouch is almost done. What I'm going to do next is trim the extra fabric away from the seam so that it's about a little under 1/4 of an inch. And of course, all of these bits will either go in the tiny bits bin or into my scrap drawers. I have several scrap drawers. They're organized by color. So I have like a drawer for blue scraps and green scraps. Anything big enough to sew, again, goes in a drawer. And if it's too small to sew with in the traditional way, I put it in my tiny bits bin. Okay, so let me set those aside. Let's trim these loose threads. So now I want to finish these raw edges. So you could finish them on a serger or with a zigzag stitch on a standard sewing machine. I'm going to do a zigzag stitch. Let me show you. Okay, I am putting my zigzag stitch on a wider width. I've got it at about 5 millimeters and I'm making it just a little bit longer. So it's like 1.5 millimeters long. And I want the needle to land just off the fabric and then back on. So the finished zigzag stitch looks like that. Okay, last step, time for the grand reveal. I'm gonna open up my zipper all the way. Oh, also I trimmed all those loose threads. I'm opening up my zipper all the way and then I'm gonna turn this thing right side out and push out the edges and give it a good press with the iron. The little zipper pouch is all done. And if you're looking for more projects to help you tackle your scrap pile, I'd love for you to check out my membership. Just click on the join button below this video.